But there is one more race before the pre-finals begin, and that is the MG Cup for the senior X30 drivers who have not quite managed to get themselves up the order. And that race is getting underway in 4 minutes' time. So the drivers will head out onto the circuit shortly. There they are, ready for the action. 4 minutes' time is an estimate, of course, because there are some karts to clear away. We may get a slight delay. But for the X30 seniors that are on the grid, this is a race of frustration for them all. But they do still want to race one more time. They know they're not going to progress through to the pre-finals. They haven't quite made it that far. But from their point of view, they've still got one more race to finish off their weekend and show the world what could have been. Miguel Silva will line up on pole position, the Portuguese driver for the Paralin Iberian team. And then alongside him is the MDC Racing driver on her CRG. That is Albany Del Valle, the Spanish driver. For the SG driver squad in third, it is the French lady Chloe Canard. And then Cabo Junior's young Portuguese star Luís Alves lines up in fourth on the starting grid. Dan Butterworth, his first weekend in Europe for the crop promotion team. He's had a tough mission, but he's driven very well over the course of the weekend. Not had the luck or the fortune or the results, but he's definitely made a good impression. Alongside him on the grid, fortune has definitely not favoured James Walker this weekend. In fact, I don't see his kart there on the grid, so he's obviously sustained so much damage over the course of the weekend, and he did have a lot of incidents yesterday that were mostly not his own fault in pretty much every case. But he's not going to be taking up the start from 6th position. That is a shame. Jose Barros, the privateer, lines up from 7th position on the starting grid, and he will be there in his EKR alongside Kalai Atkins. A very admirable debut in Europe for the Jamaican, and it's good to see how well he's got on. He's there in 8th position on the grid, although technically, of course, it becomes 7th with the absence of James Walker. On the 5th row, it is going to be Lewis Wadley, a first time out for the Precision Racing team, and Lewis Wadley has done a fair job. Alongside him on the grid is the Belgian female for the Dimes Racing team, that is Clémentine Benoit. So she is going to be there to round out the top 10. On 11th on the grid is going to be Luis Leao for the Monlau squad, and he is there, the Portuguese driver, alongside the Indian talent, Anshul Gandhi for Dan Holland Racing. He had no luck at all yesterday, so hopefully he can salvage something very strong from this last race of the weekend. David Sobreiro, the privateer, on the 13th position spot on the grid. The Portuguese lines up alongside Kuya Racing's Dennis Booman, who had problems in qualifying, had problems yesterday, and is hoping there will be no problems at all for his last bid. And then the last man in is going to be the OKS Cosmic driver, that is Alessandro Ostruc, the Frenchman. He will be the last one to take up the grid. And obviously the MG Cup is more for pride and honour than for anything else, but it's a last chance for the drivers who fought so valiantly yesterday, who have not made it to the second chance heat, to have one more shot at racing. A little bit of valour and honour is at stake for these guys and girls. They want to be up at the sharp end of the field, and obviously this is going to be their last opportunity to put in a good show. Hopefully they will all return for the IAMA Euro Series when it kickstarts at Marienborg in Belgium at the end of March. The calendar then continues into the second round at the gorgeous Siete Larghi circuit in Italy, the wonderful city, wonderful town of Castelletto, I should say. The third round of the championship takes us to a new venue for the IAMA Euro Series at Essay in France. And then, of course, the final round of the championship will be back here at the beautiful Cartodromo Internacional Lucas Guerrero here in Valencia. What a fantastic backdrop this circuit has always provided. It's the fourth running of this event. It's my third time here, and I have to say it is a wonderful, picturesque circuit with wonderful countryside, a beautiful backdrop of the fabulous hills and mountains surrounding the Valencia city here in the district of Chiva. And it's wonderful to see the great racers that have come here time and again. One final hurrah for the MG Cup drivers. Miguel Silva and Albany Del Valle on the front row of the grid, from Chloe Canard and Luis Alves, then Dan Butterworth and James Walker, who is absent, Jose Barros and Kalai Atkins, from Lewis Wadley and Clémentine Benoit, then Luis Leo and Anshul Gandhi, David Sobrero, Dennis Booman and Alessandro Estruc, with a non-stop for Lucas Pons. Now that is a spin in the pit lane for Albany Del Valle. Albany Del Valle has got a problem. Now that is baffling, but Albany Del Valle with a big issue there, coming out of the pit lane. Now, hopefully she's going to be able to get going again. She has made it back out on circuit. Was that a spin or did she park up? I think it was a spin, actually. So Albany Del Valle under some pressure there to get herself back into position, and she's going to have to take herself to the front row of the grid once more. A big issue there for Albany Del Valle. But if she can get a victory on home soil, that would keep the Spanish crowd happy. So obviously she now needs to get herself back into her grid position. Fortunately, she's got 2 laps to do so. And she did manage to get out onto the grid again. There she is. So hopefully she'll be able to take up her position on the front row of the grid once more. It'll be Silva and Albany Del Valle, then Canard and Alves, Butterworth, then Barros and Atkins, Wadley and Benoit, Leo, Gandhi, Sobrero, Booman and Astruc. And these competitors will be the last ones to go to battle before we get to the pre-finals. So the competitors are obviously getting themselves dialed in, warming up the tyres and brakes to their optimum temperature as always. And that is the scene that will greet them when they come out of the final turn in their tram lines. 11 laps around this circuit. It's going to be quite the tough battle ahead. But there's one more race of fun for these guys before they can get their way back home again. Although I'm fairly sure the majority of them will stay in order to watch the gripping finals that we have here. 6 races to go after this one. The pre-finals set the grid for the finals, and then the finals themselves, of course, are the ones that will give us an amazing spectacle. I think they're all waiting to see if Albany Del Valle is going to get herself back into her grid position. She is catching them down the back straight. She may have to quickly nip into her grid slot at the very last moment, but the drivers are waiting in position. There we go. Albany Del Valle and the CRG is hopefully going to take her place at the front, but I think she's run out of time to get there, so she's going to have to start from the back of the field. And the lights go out. We're racing. So Miguel Silva gets a good start. Chloe Canard trying to get into second position on the inside line. Is she there? She's just about managed to go for it. Albany Del Valle, unfortunately, now having to start the race from the back of the grid, but that's the crop promotion into second position. Up the inside, is this going to be a big build move? It is indeed, as a fantastic start from Kalai Atkins. The Jamaican has shot forward, and he now leads here in Valencia. What a start from Kalai Atkins. Absolutely superb as he now charges his way through. He is at the front of the field after an absolutely epic start. So Kalai Atkins is out in front of the field. Miguel Silva in second place, and in third, I'm fairly sure, that is Chloe Canard. Down the main straight, down the back straight, I should say, the 256. That is Luís Alves, in fact, who's in third position. My apologies, as going for the lead, Miguel Silva trying to get there, but Kalai Atkins has shot forward, and the Jamaican sensation is out in the lead. Silva second, Alves third, Butterworth fourth, then it is Chloe Canard from Clementine Benoit. Seventh is Leo in front of Astruc, Barros, Wadley, Albany Del Valle, Anshul Gandhi and David Sobrero. Looks like even more problems for Dennis Booman. He's out of the race after a battle on the first lap. So Dennis Booman's weekend really has been a write-off. But it's Kalai Atkins. There is Dennis Booman. Absolutely dejected as he walks in. Nothing's gone right for him this weekend. Hopefully his form will return when we get to Marienborg if he so deems to join us. He'll be very welcome. But a very fed up and unhappy Dennis Booman as he now retreats to Marshall Post 3, where he will watch the rest of the race. Kalai Atkins, though, is out in front. Miguel Silva and Luís Alves right in. Chloe Canard has made the move for fourth on Dan Butterworth. Here we go for the lead. Miguel Silva on the inside of Atkins, and he's not just going to lose the lead, he's going to lose second too, because Luís Alves gets through. But Kalai Atkins is still there in fourth. Canard is battling with Dan Butterworth. Butterworth is trying to get through into the top 4. And in fifth place, he remains at the moment from the Belgian star Clementine Benoit. She's in front of Alessandro Astruc from Lewis Wadley. And then in ninth place is Luis Leao. Albany Del Valle has made her way into 10th position from the start. And make that ninth now because she's got past her her close rival there, Luis Leao. So Silva is your leader. Alves in second. Atkins in third. There's nothing more than just a bit of honour at stake here for these guys. They all want to win this race just to finish their weekend on a high note. And so far it's Miguel Silva in front of Luis Alves and Kalai Atkins. Atkins in third position behind the two leaders. Silva. Atkins is going to have an opportunity here because Alves is going for the lead. That's a force wide there from Silva. And into the lead of the race comes Luis Alves. Here comes Chloe Canard now. Canard is going to try and make a bid, assisting Kalai Atkins to go for Silva. So it's Alves, Silva, Atkins and Canard. Then it's Butterworth and Benoit. The top 6 going through nice and neatly. Is the move up the inside from Atkins. He has a look at Miguel Silva, not quite able to get through. As Alessandro Struck in 7th gets the fastest lap of the race. And Albany Del Valle has got away into 8th place past Lewis Wadley now. Sorry, no, Wadley is still there. My apologies, in 8th place. So Wadley is there. Astruc is going to make the move on Clementine Benoit. And Astruc gets through into 6th position. So a nice overtake there from Astruc. Clementine Benoit down to 7th place now. She's going to have to fight back. So Alves, Silva, Atkins, Canard, Butterworth, Astruc, Benoit. And in 8th is Wadley in front of Albany Del Valle and Luis Leo. Then Gandhi, Sobrero and Barros. Into the chicane. Luis Alves still running well from Miguel Silva. In 3rd place, Kalai Atkins. A big defensive lunge on the inside line from Luis Alves. It's only lap 5 and he's decided to go defensive. Miguel Silva giving him plenty of pressure. Kalai Atkins is looking for the bid to come through. He's in 3rd position, just in front of Canard and Butterworth. But this is going to be a long race, I can tell already. There's going to be a lot of battles in this one. Luis Alves just protecting his inside line. He's clearly had a lot of front fairings go missing because he's got a completely black front fairing compared to what it should be in Kart Republic white and orange. And Chloe Canard now holding the inside line to Dan Butterworth as Alessandro Astruc makes his bid and gets past Dan Butterworth. So Alessandro Astruc, the Frenchman, gets through into position, trying to come around the outside now of Chloe Canard. So Astruc and Canard, regular races together in France. Again, Luis Alves being very defensive into the final turn, and that's Astruc up into 4th place, past Chloe Canard now. And that's brought Clementine Benoit onto the back of Butterworth and Canard. Canard is still going to have a bit of a battle here with Butterworth and Benoit. Oh, and that's a little bit of a moment. I think there was a big issue. Canard nearly losing the kart there. Just about hanging on to it. And meanwhile, Kalai Atkins is going to try and attack Miguel Silva. Hasn't been able to find the space or the gap to get through. As meanwhile, Albany Del Valle has lost the place to Luis Leo, but has got back through on Anshul Gandhi. So far, nothing's gone well for Albany Del Valle in this one. What a shame for her. On the front row originally, and then spun on the way out of the pits. That's not great from her point of view, as Clementine Benoit continues to battle with Lewis Wadley now. Wadley has caught up, and I'm fairly sure he's got through. Yes, he has. So Wadley is now at a 7th place. And it's still Luis Alves in front of Miguel Silva. In 3rd place, Kalai Atkins. So Alves, Silva, Atkins. 4th place is Astruc now, as we know, from Canard and Butterworth, then Wadley and Benoit. To the first corner. Again, Alves being very defensive in that first turn as we go into lap 7. Silva swarming around all over the back. Kalai Atkins is right there in 3rd as well. The top 3 have got a bit of a gap over Alessandro Astruc. But with 5 laps to go, this is a nice little B-side to the main single, if you like. As Luis Alves, Miguel Silva and Kalai Atkins are having one final hurrah in the MG Cup. Onto the short run to the hairpin. And this is a good run from Luis Alves. He's been very defensive, but he's able to hold the position. You can't fault him on that one. So they come through on the far side of the back straight once again. Luis Alves, Miguel Silva and Kalai Atkins. 1, 2 and 3. 4th is Astruc. 5th is Canard. 6th is Butterworth. Wadley in 7th place from Benoit and Luis Leal. Through the chicane as they go into the 8th lap. 4 to go. Here comes Miguel Silva. He's been building up to this, and this time Alves isn't defensive. So Silva gets through, no problem at all in the first corner. Tightens in nicely on the hairpin, and now Kalai Atkins may sense an opportunity to go for the Portuguese in 2nd place. He makes it look beautiful on the inside. Waited for Alves to get a little bit wide, and Kalai Atkins into 2nd. Good bit of driving from the Jamaican. Superb from Kalai Atkins. So they sweep through and down the short stretch towards the hairpin. Into the left and into the right. For Croc Promotion, Kalai Atkins, who is based in the UK, of course, but of Jamaican origin, running through the hairpin and onto the back straight. So Miguel Silva leads the way, the Portuguese driver in front of Kalai Atkins, and Luis Alves is going to try again to get into 2nd place. But Kalai Atkins has already had a storming race off the start. He absolutely launched it through to the front end of the field. And he's just continuing a brilliant battle here. Hopefully this is going to give him bags of confidence that he can take into the Euro Series later in the year. His first time in Europe, of course. He's been one of the strong contenders in the British club scene, but this is his first time in Europe. And Kalai Atkins making a good impression here behind Miguel Silva. Not that the Paralympic Iberian cart in front of him is any slouch. Miguel Silva still running a very good race. They come onto the short stretch, up to the hairpin. And now Miguel Silva going ultra defensive with 2.5 laps to go. Kalai Atkins gets in front. Can he hold it right round the outside? It's going to be brave, but he's going to get there. Kalai Atkins round the outside of the hairpin. Lovely move. That is such a hard overtake to pull off. And Kalai Atkins hits the front again. Now Silva's going to get there in the final turn. He gets through. They all drift wide. Astruc's going to get into third. Atkins down to fourth. Alessandro Astruc now has a big chance to come through. He's in third. He's waited and bided his time, and now he's in the hunt. But Butterworth, Canard, Wadley and Benoit are in the hunt now as well. That squabble has brought them all together. This is the kind of race we want to see for the MG Cup. An all-out battle royale. No resistance, no quarters taken or given. In through the double left apex. Silva in front of Alves and Astruc. Atkins, Butterworth, Canard, Wadley, Benoit, the top 8 all together. And now Astruc wants a bit of honour. He's there in third position, the Frenchman. Worked his way up. He's into third behind Alves. Has he got 2 more overtakes in him, or can Kalai Atkins make amends for the earlier mistake at the final hairpin on the previous lap and get his way back up? He's tucked in behind Astruc. Here comes Alves for the lead on Silva, and Astruc's going to try and get there as well. A little bit of contact. Oh, they've all come together! A big shunt, and it's come off worse for Astruc and the Paralympic of Silva. Atkins came off as well. What a disaster. Going into the final lap, so many of them in trouble. Silva's out, Astruc is out. What a fight. And now it's left Luís Alves in the lead of the race from Chloe Canard and Lewis Wadley. Well, they're out of it. Nothing can be done about that one. What a shame. That was going so well. They all just got a little bit too wide and ended up clattering into each other. Racing incident. And there's at least 3 or 4 of them down there. Silva out, Astruc out, Sobrero out, Barros out. They had a separate incident 2 laps ago. But now on the last lap, Luís Alves is on his own as he runs down the back straight. There is Lewis Wadley, who's going to get a 3rd position out of this one. That's the moral of the story. Never give up. Luís Alves is going to cross the line and he takes the victory. That'll do for him. Chloe Canard in 2nd, Lewis Wadley in 3rd, and Clementine Benoit in 4th. From Dan Butterworth and Luis Leal. Albany Del Val comes home in 7th place in front of Anshul Gandhi and a very unhappy Kalai Atkins. That could have been his win there. But then you could have said any of that to any driver in the top 8 on the previous lap. It was always going to be a tough one. But Luís Alves hangs on to it and he gets the victory. He's delighted. 11 laps done. His weekend is over. But he wins it with the Portuguese flag on his overalls with pride and honour. Luís Alves takes the victory then from Chloe Canard and Lewis Wadley. Clementine Benoit in 4th place from Dan Butterworth and Luis Leal. Albany Del Valle in 7th place. Anshul Gandhi is 8th, and the last man home is Kalai Atkins. A last lap incident, a penultimate lap incident I should say, put out Miguel Silva and Alessandro Astruc, with David Sobrero and Jose Barros out a couple of laps before. Dennis Bowman out on the 1st lap, and James Walker unable to take the start. Well, that was a nice little taster for the kind of racing we're going to get later on.